Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to do some basic mechanical animations on a very simple model within Blender. We're going to create the mesh, we're going to create the animation, and then we're going to export it into Unreal. So let's just get started. I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. So we're just going to get right into it. The first thing we're going to do is delete the default cube. So hit X to delete. Then what we're going to do is change the unit scale of our of our Blender project, the unit scale. We're going to change this from metric 1 unit scale to 0.01. And the reason we're going to use 0.01 is that Unreal uses centimeters as its core metric. So if you do not do this step and leave the unit scale at 1, all of the animations that you import into Unreal will look extremely small, exactly 100 times smaller than they should be. So we're going to create a cylinder. In the example I'm going to use today, we're going to create like a missile silo with the top is going to open up so the missile can come out. So we're going to create a cylinder. I'm going to hit the numpad number 1 and period to do the front view and center it. The next thing I'm going to do is move this up. I'm going to hit G for move. I'm going to move it on the Z axis and I'm going to move it up by 1 meter. Okay. We can see it's 2 by 2 meter. The scale is 1. Okay. I'm going to go into modeling for the item. I'm going to frame it. Then what we're going to do is remove the top face here. So I'm just going to select that, hit X, and delete face. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to create the top portion. So I'm going to do add icosphere. I'm going to open up the panel down here. I'm going to move it up so we can see it a little better. And I'm going to increase the number of subdivisions. So instead of 2, I think we're going to go to 3 is actually pretty good. But I think we'll just do 4. 4 works just fine. Now, this doesn't really look much like a missile silo because we have an entire sphere there. So what I need to do is cut that in half. So to do that, I'm going to turn on X-ray. Okay. And we are simply going to pick the middle portion and then select everything below there. Okay, so that looks like it's halfway. I'm going to hit X to delete. We're going to delete all those faces. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select a couple of these and then do select linked. Okay. Going to scale this out a little bit, and then we're just going to move these down. Okay. So with them down like that, they're kind of sitting right on top. So if you can picture that this is the dome of our missile silo, and inside is our missile, right? So that is, yeah. So this is the X-ray view. Now what we need to do is give our walls some thickness. So to do that, pretty simple. I'm going to go to our mesh. I'm going to go to modifiers. Now I'm going to add 2 modifiers. The first is solidify. And we're going to bump up its thickness to 0.1 meters. The next one is, I do want to smooth shade this. So I can do object, smooth shade. It kind of looks a little weird. And so one way to clean this up very quickly is just do an edge split modifier. And now it is smooth shaded, but we still retain our edges pretty well. And in order to animate this, we need to give it a skeleton, or an armature, or a rig, depending on how you want to say it. So the first thing we're going to do is add in a bone armature. Now, when you add the armature, you can't see it. So if you go to the attributes of the armature, go to viewport display, you do in front, but you still don't see your bone. And the reason is look how small it is. It's 0.01 meters, right? So it's small compared to our mesh. So what we're going to do is scale our bone or our armature. I'm going to do scale 100. Hit enter. And so now we can see our armature, okay? In order to open up our missile silo, I think the easiest way to do it is going to be to place our bone along one side, and then we are going to create a second bone which lifts the lid up. And I will show you what I mean by that. So our current bone is at 0, 0. So it's kind of sitting right in the center of our missile silo. What I want to do is move it to one side. So I want to move it, I believe, on the X, right? So now that we have our bone there, now remember, when you go into Unreal, like, you don't see the bones or anything. So what I'm going to do with our bone selected, I'm going to go into modeling. And you see it's kind of sitting over to the side. And I'm going to lift this up and make this bone a little taller. Right up to about here. And I think I'm actually going to move the whole bone in. It's kind of right in the middle. Then what I'm going to do is we are going to extrude another bone. So I'm going to select up here at the top of this bone. We're going to now extrude another bone. E for extrude. So now that our bone has another bone, what we can do is we can attach the mesh to be influenced by bone 1. So our root bone's not going to move or rotate or do anything. But in order to open this up, we're just going to grab this bone and rotate it up. And if we make all of the dome here follow that bone, then it will open up along with it. We're going to go back to layout. We're going to select our mesh. One other thing I'm going to do is, if you look at our armature here, its scale is 100. So I'm just going to apply the scale and the location. Select the mesh. I'm going to go back into modeling. Oh, before we can apply the mesh, you need to parent the mesh to the armature. And when you do that, I'll show you, the mesh will get some vertex groups automatically generated for it, and that is what we want. So I'm going to get rid of the camera up here. We don't need that. So now I'm going to grab the armature, select that first. I'm going to click that. Then I'm going to drag down and grab the cylinder, or you can shift select. Now we're going to parent. And I'm going to do armature deform with empty groups. Okay, now that I've done that, you see it created 2 vertex groups, bone and bone 1. I'm going to go into modeling. We still have our entire dome selected. And so I'm going to go to the vertex groups, and I'm going to assign a weight of 1, which is our weight right here, to that vertex group. So then if we go back to layout mode, I'll show you. If we go to weight painting, weight paint, you can see that with bone 1 selected, it is these upper the dome of our missile silo is 100% influenced by this bone. So wherever this bone moves to, this is going to follow. Okay? All we need to do now is animate. Yep, so we're going to go to animation. We're going to go into here. I'm going to reset our frame. So I'm going to hit 1. Then I'm going to come back here. I'm going to select pose mode. And at frame 0, I want to select both of these. I'm going to select everything. And then we're going to insert location and rotation keyframes at frame 0 for both of those bones. Okay. Then at at frame 30, I'm only going to select the upper bone. I'm going to turn on auto keying down here. So whenever I move this bone now, it's going to automatically insert a key. And we're going to position our cylinder, right? So I think that right there is fully open, right? So at frame 30, this is where it's going to be. You can see these, the walls are solid. The shading looks correct. Everything looks pretty good. And it's animated pretty well. Now we could open this far, or we could go a little bit farther. Something like that, right? Looks good to me. It opens up, shoots our thing back, and then all we need to do is close it back up. So very simple to do that. All I need to do is copy the keys. So I'm going to select them by click and drag, copy. I'm going to go to, let's say, frame 60. Okay. And here I'm just going to paste those keys. Okay. So at frame 60, it's closed. At frame 30, it is opened. And then it goes back. So this is our complete animation. Really simple, right? Really simple. You can do a lot more complicated things. But for right now, this is going to meet all of our needs. Now, the one thing I'll say, though, is when you're about to launch a rocket, I think that this dome is going to open up a lot faster than it's going to close. And so I think what we should do is let's grab these keyframes. I'm going to hit G. And now we can go ahead and move these. And so I'm going to move these out to, let's say, frame 90. Okay. So what's going to happen is it's going to open up in 30 frames, but it's going to close from the open position in 60 frames. So now we can play this. Yeah. Yeah, it still doesn't seem like very urgent, does it? It seems to open pretty slow. So I think what I'm going to do is even move these back a little farther. So I think we're going to open up in, let's say, 10 frames. So now, yeah, it opens up really fast and then closes. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now we did this animation in the dope sheet. I am not an expert in this, but I think what I can do is if I go to the action editor, I can take this action and rename it. I'm going to call it launch. So we have launch. And I don't know what push down means. Maybe we'll try it. Yeah, I don't really understand what that push down is. But anyway, this is our launch action. I think I could create more actions if I chose to do so. But for right now, we're just going to keep it simple. Actually, I don't even think I have to select any of them. I can just export everything. FBX. I'm going to call it untitled. And we're just going to export everything. I'm not even going to worry about the lamp or any of that. Okay, so let's export this. Now we're going to go to Unreal. Okay, I pulled up the content browser. And I have a test folder. I'm going to drag my FBX into here from File Explorer. This is really small, probably hard to see, but this is your standard FBX import. I am going to choose to import the skeletal mesh, right, because we do have a skeleton, and the animation. So I'm just going to say import. So now we have, interesting, we have two animation sequences. I don't know why that is. But we have our skeleton. So let's just open one of these up. Okay. So here you can see this is our skeleton, right? We don't have any material on it or anything like that. And it probably needs some work with the UVs, but I'm not going to worry about that. Here is the skeleton. You see we have our bone 1, and then I think the export adds this bone end. But here is bone 1, and then this is I think the root bone. Maybe that's what it adds in. Yeah, interesting. So there's our skeleton, and now let's look at our animations. So here is our animation that we've imported into Unreal. And I think yeah, for whatever reason, it imported it twice. I wonder if it's because I did the push down. Not exactly sure, but what you can see here is that this is our missile silo, right? So if you take this, close this out. Okay. Look at this craziness. So here, never mind all the animals. Never mind the worm. But if you look now, I know we don't really have a missile silo in the medieval times, but you can definitely see that this is our animation come to life, and everything looks pretty cool, right? So all you need to do is put some materials on it, and that's about it. So this video, these always take longer than I expect them to. It does take a lot of time to make these, and believe it or not, I recreated this like 3 times because I messed up. and I wanted it to, not be confusing. So if you like this kind of content, please hit subscribe. Please comment, please like, and please share. I definitely, enjoy doing this comment, and I love hearing from everybody. But my schedule is pretty tight, and the biggest reward I can get is having you guys like this material and appreciate it. So thumbs up, hammer the like button, and thank you very much for watching. If I get enough interest in this, I'll show you how to trigger this animation within your blueprint so that, for example, when you're ready to fire your missile, you can go ahead and just trigger it from within a blueprint rather than just having it constantly animating. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.